Hey guys, I'm Tammy and welcome back to my channel. Basically, I went through all my fabric scraps recently. I have a box full of fabric that I just don't use, that are kind of offcuts from other projects. I found that I have quite a lot of this pink linen and then also this kind of lime green linen, and it's the exact same fabric just in different shades. And I just thought this would look so cute as a cute little cropped tank top, and that's what I'm gonna make today. So I'm gonna use a self-drafted tank top to make this, but you can definitely use any pattern. I'll leave some links down below which ones you can also use. I don't know, I'm just trying this out for fun, so I'm not sure if it'll even turn out well, but let's see how it goes anyway. So I just cut out this template that's 4x4, and I'm gonna basically cut out a row of 6 and then 5 up. So I think in total that's 30 squares I'm gonna cut out of this fabric. I'm gonna make sure I do 15 in green and 15 in pink. So I just took my fabric scraps and started layering them to cut out the squares easier. This is how they started to look like, and I really love how neat and clean the edges are. It's such a great scrap buster if you have any odd shaped fabric lying around and you want to use them to make something a bit fun and different. Okay, that took a bit longer than I thought it would. But I have all my squares cut out and they look so cute. So I've got pink and then I've got green. And what I'm gonna do is basically lay them out on a table and alternate them. So it's gonna go pink, green, pink, green. And if my math is right, I'm gonna do 6 along and then 5 down squares. And we'll see how that looks. And then I've decided, I realized I have more green fabric than I thought I did, so I'm just gonna make the back green and the front of the top will have this checkerboard pattern. So let me take you to the table and show you how I'm gonna lay this out. I started with the green and laid them out in front of me and just pinned the edges together. So what I've basically done is done a contrasting pattern where I alternate between the colours, and I've just pinned them in place for now, but I'm going to sew along using a 1 cm seam allowance and press the seams open. And I'm going to repeat this for 5 different rows. This was such a fun and easy way to play with colour blocking, and I also really like how simple this project is to sew. You literally just need to sew along the edges, which can take some time, and then press them open to create a really nice crisp finish. So this is how it is looking so far. I honestly love how it's turned out already. I think these two colours work absolutely beautifully together. The green and the pink are just amazing. I think this is a top that's going to be so cool. So this is obviously 1 row. I just need to do 5 others or 4 others to make 5, and then I can cut out the fabric to make the top. This part of the project was a bit tedious to sew, but it's nice to do as a relaxing thing, especially in the evening. So I've sewn all the rest of the squares together in rows. I honestly love how they look. They were actually really satisfying to sew. I don't know if I lined them up exactly completely, because if they're not perfect, you'll be able to see them offset when you're actually sewing them together. But this is just a bit of fun and a bit of experimentation, so I don't mind if they're not completely lined up perfectly. What I'm going to do now is basically, if I just take 2, so I'm basically now going to put them together and sew them like that. It's a bit hard to actually show you what I mean. Yeah, if I just place them together like that and sew them together, and it will make one big sheet of fabric, and that's what I'm going to use to cut out the pattern on. So I'm just going to sew those together and show you what that looks like. I placed the right sides of the pieces together and pinned along the edge, and just repeated the step for all the other pieces. So I've just sewn up the checkerboard print and all the squares are sewn together now. This is the front, and then the back is like this. I've overlocked the back. And this is basically ready now for me to cut out my pattern. I'm just gonna place a self-drafted tank top pattern on this. You can definitely use or one that you already have at home. I'll leave some links down in the description box below. I was actually thinking this would make such a cute tote bag. Like if you just did this and then sewed the sides together and made a cute little tote bag, this would be such a nice project. I feel like some of the seams definitely get a tiny bit thick when you're sewing them together, and this is already a mid-weight linen, so I'm not sure how comfortable it will be when you're wearing it. I know linen actually does soften the more times it goes through the wash, but I think it's already feeling quite stiff, so we'll have to see how this turns out as a top. So I placed the front bodice on top of the fabric and cut it out. As I said, I've left some free tank patterns below you can use, but remember to measure the width of the top you're using and then calculate how many squares you'll need to make the fabric wide enough and then also long enough. So I've just had lunch and I've cut out all the fabrics. So this is the front top, which is now cut out with the pattern that I used. And then the back top is made out of the green fabric from leftovers that I had. And then I've also cut out some bias binding to sew the neckline with. But what I'm going to do now is basically align the side seams and the shoulder seams of the front top and the back top and sew them together and overlock them. With right sides together, I pinned the seams, but you can definitely use clips if your fabric is too thick, and then I sewed using a 1 centimeter seam allowance. So I've just sewn the front of the bodice to the back of the bodice, so this is what the front looks like, and then the back is green. As you can see, I've sewn the shoulder seams and then also the side seams of the top, and I really love how it's looking. What I'm gonna do now is basically take the bias binding and apply it all around the neckline and then repeat the same steps for the armholes. I definitely find sewing bias binding quite time consuming, but it definitely provides a really neat finish and creates a lovely band detail all along the edges, which helps tie everything together. So I've just finished sewing the top and I really love how it turned out. Let's see what it looks like on. I hope you enjoyed seeing how I sewed this top. It was actually such a fun project to do. I genuinely really enjoyed it. I've actually never patchwork fabric like that, and it's actually such a fun process. I definitely recommend doing it if you've never done it before. I honestly loved how this top turned out as well. It's quite a fun, kind of relaxed piece, and it was just something exciting to try, and I really love how it turned out. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you think of this video. Let me know in the comments if you like the top, and I'll see you in the next one.